Hi everyone, it's time for our next story, and most of you have done your voting and decided which one we would like, and the one with the most votes was Demon Dentist. Amazing. It's a good one, this one. But first, have a look. You can see all your pictures from your post. Thank you so much to everyone who drew me pictures and wrote me letters. They were brilliant. I really enjoyed them. Thank you so much. If you haven't replied yet, you still have time. There's some lovely pictures up here. You can see them all. Decorating my office, which is fab. Thank you very much. Shall we get on with our story? Demon Dentist by David Walliams this time. It is. So, let's have a look. We go through the characters first. It's quite important. We've got to meet, oh, can't see with the sun, meet the characters. So here we have Alfie, a boy with rotten teeth. Is that you, our Alfie? Alfie, is that you? Rotten teeth. Do you not brush your teeth? And this is Dad. He's Alfie's dad. And then we've got Gabs, a little girl, and Miss Root, a dentist. She doesn't look very friendly. Right, we've now got Miss Hare, she's a science teacher. Winnie, who's a social worker. Raj, the newsagent Raj. If you've read any of his books or you've watched the films, you will know Raj. PC Plank, he's a policeman. Then we've got Texting Boy, a boy who never stops texting. He's over here. Then we've got Mr. Gray, a headmaster. Then Mr. Snood, a drama teacher. Mrs. Morrissey, she's an old lady, as we can see in the picture. Okay, chapter 1, a simple case of toothache. Alfie hated going to the dentist. Do you hate going to the dentist, Alfie? As a result of the boy's teeth were almost all yellow. The ones that weren't yellow were brown. They bore the stains of all the goodies that children love, but dentists hate. Sweets, fizzy drinks, chocolate. The teeth that were neither yellow nor brown simply weren't there at all. They had fallen out. One had bitten into a toffee and stayed there. Assorted fruit-flavoured chews had claimed others. This is what young Alfie looked like when he smiled. Ah! It's got lots of gaps, look. Lots of horrible teeth. That's because this 12-year-old boy hadn't gone to the dentist since he was very little. Alfie's last visit was when he was around 6. It was a simple case of toothache, but it ended in disaster. The dentist was an ancient man, Mr. Erstwhistle. Despite his good intentions, Mr. Erstwhistle should have retired many years before. The dentist looked like a tortoise, an old tortoise at that. He wore glasses so thick they made his eyes appear to be the size of tennis balls. Mr. Erstwhistle told Alfie the tooth in question was rotten. A filling wouldn't save it, and unfortunately he had no option but to take it out. The dentist yanked and yanked and yanked with his huge steel forceps, but the tooth wouldn't come out. Mr. Erstwhistle even rested his foot upon the chair by Alfie's head to lever himself against it to help wrench the wretched tooth out. Still, it wouldn't come. There we go. Trying to drag that tooth out by a pair of pliers. Do you fancy that? The dentist getting hold of your tooth and pulling. No, I don't either. The ancient dentist that enlisted the help of his even older dental nurse, Miss Prigg, was instructed to hold on to him and tug as hard as she could. Even then the tooth wouldn't come out. So the hefty receptionist, Miss Veal, was asked to step into the room to help. Miss Veal weighed more than Mr. Erstwhistle and Miss Prigg put together, but even with all her ballast, the tooth wouldn't come out. Just then the dentist had an idea and ordered Miss Prigg to fetch some particularly thick dental floss. He carefully tied the dental floss around the forceps and then looped it around Miss Veal's ample frame. The dentist then instructed his rotund receptionist to leap out of the window on the count of 3. But even with all of Miss Veal's immense weight yanking on the boy's tooth, it still wouldn't come out. With poor young Alfie still lying in terror on the dentist chair, Mr. Urtwhistle stepped into his waiting room to request reinforcements. The growing crowd of patients waiting to be seen were all called upon to assist. Young and old, fat and thin, the elderly dentist needed all the help he could get. Nevertheless, even with a lengthy human chain and an army of yankers, the tooth stayed still. But by this time, poor little Alfie was in great distress. The pain of having his tooth pulled out was 100 times worse than the toothache. However, Mr. Urtwhistle was determined to finish what he'd started, sweating profusely. The dentist took a large swig of mouthwash and gripped onto the forceps as tightly as he could. Finally, after what seemed like days, weeks, even months of yanking, Alfie heard a deafening crunch. The dentist had gripped so hard that he had crushed the tooth. It exploded into thousands of tiny fragments inside Alfie's mouth. With the ordeal finally over, Mr. Urtwhistle and all his helpers were lying in a tangled heap on the surgery floor. "Well done, everyone," he announced, as his assistant, Miss Prigg, helped him to his feet. "Oh, that tooth was a stubborn little blighter." Just then, Alfie realised something. He still had toothache. The dentist had taken out the wrong tooth. Oh, no. Chapter 2. Believe. Alfie ran out of the dental surgery as fast as his little legs would carry him. That fateful afternoon, the boy vowed that he would never, ever go to the dentist again. To this day, he never had. Alfie had missed every single one, every single appointment. Over the years, there had been a sack full of reminder letters from the dentist, but Alfie had hidden them all from his dad. Alfie was a family of 2, just him and his father. The boy's mother had died giving birth to him. He had never known her. Sometimes he felt sad, and if he missed his mother, then he would tell himself, how could he miss someone that he never met? To hide the appointment letters from the dentist, the boy would silently drag a stool across the kitchen floor. Alfie was short for his age. He was, in fact, the second shortest kid at school, so he would have to balance on his tiptoes on the stool to reach the top of the ladder where he would hide the letters. There must have been 100 letters buried up there by now, and Alfie knew his father couldn't reach them. That's because for many years Dad had been unwell and had of late become confined to a wheelchair. Before ill health forced him out of work, Dad was a coal miner, a great big bear of a man. He had loved working down the pit and providing for his beloved son. However, all those years he spent down the mine took a terrible toll on his lungs. Dad was a proud man and didn't let on about his illness for many years. He worked harder and harder to dig more and more coal, even taking on extra shifts to help make ends meet. Meanwhile, his breathing became shallower and shallower, until one afternoon he collapsed at the coalface. When Dad finally came round at the hospital, the doctors told him he could never go down a mine again. Just one more lungful of coal dust could finish him off for good. As the years passed, Dad's breathing worsened. Getting another job became impossible. And even everyday tasks, something as simple as tying a shoelace, grew to be a struggle. Soon Dad could only get around in a wheelchair. With no mum or brothers or sisters, Alfie had to care for his father alone. Besides having to go to school and do his homework, the boy would do all the shopping, all the cleaning, cook all the meals, and do all the washing up. Alfie never complained, though. He loved his dad with all his heart. Dad's body may have been broken, but his spirit wasn't. He had a great gift for telling stories. "Listen, pup," he would begin. Dad would often call his son that, which Alfie loved. The image it conjured of a big, soppy dog and a little puppy snuggling up together always made the boy feel safe and warm inside. "Listen, pup," Dad would say. "All you have to do is close your eyes and believe." From their little bungalow, Dad would take his son on all sorts of thrilling adventures. They would ride on magic carpets, dive under the oceans, and even drive stakes through the hearts of vampires. It was a multicoloured world of make-believe, a million miles away from their black and white existence. "Take me to the haunted house again, Daddy," the boy would beg. "Perhaps today, my pup, we'll take a journey to the old haunted castle," Dad would tease. "Please, please, please," Alfie would say. Father and son would close their eyes and meet in their daydreams. Together they went out fishing for the day in Scotland and caught the Loch Ness Monster, climbed the Himalayan mountains and came face to face with the abominable snowman, slew a huge fire-breathing dragon, hid aboard a pirate ship and were forced to walk the plank as stowaways, only to be saved by beautiful mermaids. Rubbed a magic lamp and met a genie who gave them 3 wishes each, although Dad gave all his wishes to his son. Rode on the back of a Pegasus, a winged horse from Greek mythology. Climbed up a stalk to a giant land and met an extremely hungry Cyclops whose perfect idea of a between-meal snack was a scrawny little 12-year-old boy, so Dad had to save him. Became the first ever father and son team to successfully land on the moon in a homemade rocket. Were chased across the misty moors at night by a ferocious werewolf. This was the world of the imagination. Anything was possible in Dad and Alfie's adventures. Nothing could stop them. Nothing. As Alfie grew older, though, he found it harder and harder to see these things. As his dad spoke, the boy would open his eyes, become distracted, and begin to wish he could play computer games all night like other kids at his new big school. "Pup, just close your eyes and believe," his dad would say. However, Alfie was beginning to think that now he was 12, nearly 13, he was too old to believe in magic and myths and fantastical creatures. He was about to find out how terribly wrong he was. We'll stop there for now. Okay, we'll see you later.